The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 801. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host, Sheena Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is an actress, a gifted watercolor artist, and also an author, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Irene Tsu. Irene, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Okay, well, I'm doing very well under this unprecedented time that we're living through now. But we're very resourceful. Human beings are very resourceful. We'll think of ways to communicate and carry on with our business or get retrained to some of the kind of business. And I was been an actress since I was 15, by accident, really. I didn't set out to say, okay, mom, that's what I want to do, and went to the Pasadena Playhouse. I went to all the big drama schools. Mine was just a pure kind of accident. I think that when I was a child in Hong Kong at 11, I won a scholarship to the Royal Academy of Dance, which was called the Sadler's Wells at that time. And what they did was that they had a contest every 4 years among the Commonwealth. So my ballet teacher, I was taking ballet then, and entered me into this prestigious contest. I don't know how I did, but I was just so nervous to remember the choreography or the bar, how they make you do certain things. It was just a set kind of thing. It was quite long too, and maybe like 15 minutes or so. So after I won, of course, my father came in from Taipei and they took a meeting in one of the high-rise buildings. And I was just standing there with my mom and, so he turned it down, basically. He said, because it's more involving than, just winning a scholarship, because they explained to us that you have to be trained, of course, 5 or 6 hours a day in ballet. And then you have to do your homework because you're 11 years old. Then not only that, you have to eat what they tell you to eat, sleep when they tell you to sleep. It's really almost like going into a convent. That was what was explained to my dad. And then on top of it all, you're not guaranteed to be a prima ballerina. You're just going to be in the corps de ballet. So your measurements, your height and weight has to measure up with everybody else's. So your physical development plays a great part in this. And so my dad looked at me. I was a scrawny, little, 11-year-old, just shake his head and said, no, we can't, we can't do that, because you become sort of an indentured servant to the Royal Ballet. You have to work 7 years to pay them back for the training that they gave you. So that was my big disappointment. So coming to the States the next year, I thought, that was just never going to happen for me. But a few years later, I got into the movie Flower Drum Song as a dancer. So I kind of became a professional dancer. And it was only by chance that I got into becoming an actress. The director of the movie, who was a very big director, he directed big movies like The Robe and maybe Ben-Hur and stuff like that. So he asked me one day on the set, he said that, I'm doing a movie next with Jimmy. I kind of think that you may be right for the part of a young French hooker, So he said, well, come to my office, the next day or so and pick up a script. I want you to read it. So I didn't know who Jimmy is. And I walked around the set asking people, who is he doing this movie with next? Jimmy who? They said, Jimmy Stewart. And I said, oh my gosh, yes, I definitely have heard of him. So that was how it happened. After they wrapped the Flower Drum Song, a few months later, he started, I would say 6 months later or something, he started, or maybe even longer than 6 months, but he started that movie. And good to his words, he just casted me in that part. I don't think I had to rehearse or anything. So just went right into shooting. And I had to speak French throughout the whole thing, and jumping on Jimmy Stewart's back because I played this hooker who was trying to pick him up as a client, and he was trying to look for his daughter, which was played by Sandra Dee at that time. So that was my first film experience, and then I realized that I'm an actress now. Because people are saying, "Do you have an agent?" You have to have an agent. Otherwise you don't know how much you're going to get paid and so on and so forth, whatever it is, sign contracts. So I don't know whoever signed the contract. Maybe my mother did, who lived in New York at the time. So, but I did go to meet with one of the two agents that were handling Asian actors. And that's how I got an agent and then started working, here and there. And pretty soon I was working on everything.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, I just want to thank you for actually just, paving the way for other Asians to be in the entertainment business, especially, you've been an actress for over 5 decades. And back then, like having Asian American actresses was like rare. Even to just fight for a spot is like, you have to work twice or 3 times as hard. So I really do appreciate that just because, back then we don't have that much visibility. I mean, we still don't, but we have a little bit more. Whatever we can like get. Sometimes it just takes one person to do it and realize what's possible for them is also possible for me. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you so much. And Irene, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
It came again later, when I won certain parts that are important for me and in TV as well as film. I feel that what it is that you say, "Oh wow, they like me, they love me, they love me." It's a self-validation. We all need validation of some sort. I mean, you could be doing something and forever, and if you don't ever feel that it's appreciated by people, it's like one hand clapping. In life as well as I think in the entertainment industry, you need a feedback. You need that feedback in order for you to feel that self-confidence. So if you never get the feedback, then it's like one hand clapping. That's not happening. So I think with the self-confidence, it's love is at the basis.
Thanks for sharing that. In your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
Well, like I said, self-confidence is something that you work at, over time. You find out what you're good at or what you like to be good at, and you work very, very, very hard at it. And maybe it's not for you, and you go, "You know what, I just don't think I can do it better than anybody else or the other person. But this is the best I can do. I try the hardest, and this is the best I can do." And with that comes a certain level of self-confidence to say, "Okay, let me do it. I'm going to write this whatever, report. And it may not be the best. Maybe somebody else can write it better than me. But this is the best I can do, and I think it's very good." It gives you that satisfaction.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. What was your life like before you discovered self-confidence?
Well, everybody has a image of themselves, and some people are gorgeous and smart and everything, yet they lack the self-confidence. But some people who are really, not great or not, beautiful would have a lot of self-confidence. I think a lot of it comes from your parents or your friends too. Being in the Chinese culture, our parents are very harsh on us. They would never give us all the compliments because in order not to spoil us, because in fact, it's very, very traditional for Chinese families to talk down about their kid. "Oh, my kid only got a B plus. It's nothing. It's really, I mean, should be getting an A plus. Oh, but I heard that your child actually got an A." They were, at least this is from like older generations. I don't know now because it may have changed. I don't know. But from my parents' generation, they would always be talking kind of, because otherwise it sounds like you're bragging, and you must never be bragging. And they I don't know if you have the experience with your grandparents or something. They will always say the opposite, in fact. Oh, don't come to see me. You young people are so busy with your work and your play. Oh, don't bother with me. I'm old. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm just happy staying home. So then my mother would turn around and ask me, so how did it go with grandmother? Did she tell you to come and visit her? I said, she told me not to visit her. She told me she didn't want to be bothered with anybody there. She says, are you kidding? You don't even understand. When she says that she doesn't want you to come visit, that means she wants you to come and visit her. I said, oh my God, how am I supposed to know? It's kind of a cultural thing. I think, this maybe Asian parents have been kind of really hard on their children's having self-confidence because they don't never praise them so that it won't go to their head. I suppose that's the meaning of it.
Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, as Asian women, we've always been told to just, never make any noise, be in the back, be in your shell, don't do anything crazy, don't do anything to shame the family. It's so like, typical, right? And we have to realize like that really hurts us, like, especially with our confidence, because we just feel like we're never enough. And this is like something we need to get out of. We actually need to come out of that shell so we can show others that, we're not quiet. We're actually loud. We're actually strong. We're actually awesome. So, I think what you pointed out, it's still pretty relevant today. And what was that aha moment that made you realize you were confident enough to go out there and be who you are today? Especially like, being an Asian actress and like back in the day, like I mentioned, it wasn't something that was typical. I mean, it was rare, and I'm pretty sure, you had your moments. But yeah, what was that aha moment that made you realize you are, the person, like you are that confident person?
The first time I had a little bit of a self confidence was when my teacher in high school, who was a dance teacher, and she had came from the school of Martha Graham, Florence Humphrey, that whole modern movement, and she had casted me in the lead of a play at the time. It was like in 10th grade or something, and so somehow she found out that I was a dancer, and so long story short, that I told her I didn't speak very much English, or my English certainly isn't proficient enough to be an actress on stage. She said, no, 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 you don't have to say a word. You talk with your feet, because the character is a deaf mute. And the play was called, I think, Finian's Rainbow. So I was in 10th grade, and I get to watch the rehearsals, and I got signed out of classes if I need to. And all of a sudden I felt like I was something special. Maybe there is something that I could do, or maybe be a professional dancer. So that was my first self, kind of esteem, that I could to be doing something else other than, shuffling from one classroom to another. And it gave me the feeling that I may be able to do something instead of what my parents wants me to do. And what happens is that you get validation, like I said, from the jobs that you get, from the monies, monetary awards, and also emotional awards. It's really, like I said, it's really like looking for love, looking for the appreciation, the validation that yes, you are loved, yes, you did a good job, yes, you are beautiful, all the kind of things that could give one the self confidence. And it's not something you get overnight. I mean, I suppose there are certain career path or events that can get someone to have self-confidence immediately, like I said, doing a marathon or whatever. But with acting, I can only speak for acting, or even design. I was a designer for 13 years, and woman's fashion designer. It's really the acceptance. If everybody loves it, goes ooh and ah, and and want to buy it, so you're rewarded in both ways, in appreciation, verbal appreciation, and the other one is by the finances. Wow, people are willing to pay for it. People are willing to pay me for however many days I'm working on it, or however many months I'm working on this. I must be worth something. That's the self the self-worth comes around.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love how you mentioned, like, the validation you get from others, because I think we, as Asian women too, are like, we're not really good at accepting compliments because of how we're brought up. It's like someone says, "Oh, you look so pretty today," and you're like, "No, no, I don't. Don't say that." Yeah, and I think that's a great reminder that we have to start small and learn simple things like just saying thank you when someone pays a compliment, right? And like you mentioned, people are willing to pay you money. And I think that's another great reminder because we feel like we're not worthy, right? We feel like we have to give everything for free because it's shameful to ask for money, especially when you're an Asian woman, right? Like everything you do is shameful. So, we have to realize like, yeah, if we want to make money, we're going to have to ask people for the money to, based on the work that we give, right? Based on the services that we.
Right, that I am worth this. I'm doing this and that for you, XYZ, and you're willing to pay me for it. I accept it, with gratefulness. That's what I think that we need to have more of that. And even if you did not get particularly what you're after, maybe you got 50% of it, you should be grateful. I think it comes hand in hand with being grateful, after that you have been compensated for your worth. And it is, it's just, almost I want to say, but I shouldn't say, but, it's like, I think you're kind of born with it. It's like since your childhood, your parents have groomed you in such a way that you will have the confidence. But if your parents are constantly putting you down, like a lot of Asian parents do, then it's harder for you to rise out of this. Because I have encountered just complete non-support, from my father. My mother is different. She's an artist. She's a great watercolor artist. She does oils as well as Chinese traditional painting. So she was kind of a liberated woman. But for my father, it was very difficult because this is totally something. This is madness that you're going to move to Hollywood to try to find a job. I mean, who's going to hire you? And then I said, well, I said to my mom, I said, well, what if I be an architect? I think I would like that. So my father immediately says, who do you think is going to hire a Chinese woman architect? Okay. So, like, what am I supposed to do? So I might as well just, a great deal of me working or making it in a very tough business, I think it's because of my father, because he put me down so much that I had to prove to him that I'm worth something.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for sharing that story. I think, that's something we just need to hear sometimes, right? Like, imagine 50 years ago, like, times were tough for an Asian woman in America. Like, the visibility was next to nothing, and you had to fight your way to not necessarily prove to others, but to realize you are worth, going after what you want. You want to be an actress, I'll go and do it, right? If it's gonna even if it takes me 3 times as hard to work for it, I mean, it just takes one person to open that door for others, right? Thanks for sharing that story. And because of your aha moments, what's your life been like now?
Well, it just comes just sort of, step by step by step. I sometimes you really cannot plan for it. I tell you, what happens is that in any business, I think that you have to be very, very good at what you do. So I'm constantly in classes. I'm constantly in workshops because if you get stale or stiff when you don't work. I mean, obviously you cannot be acting every week. Just like Jane Fonda had a coach before she started her series, I heard, because she had been away from Hollywood for X number of years. And even Jane Fonda needs to get coached. And because a coach is watching you from the outside, okay, there are some actors that are so good that were in my workshop, but they could never make it through their first interview because they would just fall apart during the interview. And I go, oh my God, how sad, because I've seen you in class doing such good work. Please go out and get that job, I mean, like I'm thinking in my heart that I was like hoping and praying that she would get the job, So it's really like when I was working, very few Asian American actresses. For people like myself who really didn't have a powerful manager as your mentor, and selected you to be in the lead of a film, that's very, very rare. Well, that's her karma. But then on the other hand, most of us, or for me anyway, I would just say study, study, study. If anybody is going for whatever career you're in, you need to go to every class just to get yourself as good as you can get. Like I said, some people can only jump, 5 feet, and they jumped all five of it. Then you're a happy person. You will have the self confidence. But if you can jump 6 feet and you only jump four, or you feel like a failure.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for sharing that. And I love how you mentioned, you still are learning. Even after 5 decades, you're still learning. And I think,
oh yes, still learning, still learning. You get rusty. Just like you do the interview and things like that. And you just constantly want to improve yourself. How do I make my show better?
yeah. And I think that's a great tip that we have to remember. Like, self-confidence comes with learning, preparing, so we can build that up when it's like showtime, like you mentioned, when it's audition time. It takes practice, right? And yeah, like I love that, because there's some people who feel like they don't need to learn anymore, but really you're just improving your art, improving your skill, improving it for your career, improving it for yourself. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, and I know you have a book coming out, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
For sure. It's on Amazon. It's called A Watercolor Dream, The Many Lives of Irene Tsu. And I did not really want to write the book because it is a lot of work, but I was pushed into it by my college professor. Once upon a time, a college professor had told me that I should write a book. And I said, Tom, I'm not a writer. I'm just an actress. I don't know where to even start. So, but he was the one that really kind of like pushing me. So like about 15 years ago, 14 years ago, whatever, 2007, or he told me to come into class. This was at LACC City College, and say, would you like to give a talk, because you have a movie that's out now, and have a question and answer period after. So I said, okay, sure. So after the talk, I was just telling them about my life, and then their question and answer came. So 2 hands went up. So I said, yes, what would you like to ask? And they raised their hands. They said, I want to write your book. And the other hand says, yeah, I want to write your book too. I want to write your book. And so Tom turns around and said to me, you see, I told you, you got a book there. You got to write it. You got to write it. So, and you got to read it. It's kind of fun. I must say that it was, that's why the publishers published it right away, and they pushed it out. They fast tracked it for now because people are doing more reading, they're home a lot more. And because we are not supposed to be all over the place, so we are reading more, or cleaning house, or cleaning your computer or whatever. So he fast tracked it out to be, I think it went live middle of May. This is my first experience. It's just a lot of work, because some of the things that happened in my life I remember vividly, and some I don't remember at all. So I went through IMDb from bottom up, and I go, oh my God, I've done over 80 shows, and plus I was in 2 major national commercials. One is the Standard Oil, the Chevron Island. I think if anybody's over 60, they would have seen it. And then at the same time, I was also doing print ads and company commercials for Hawaiian Punch, which is owned by Procter and Gamble. So I was visible on TV like 40 times a day. So that was a big, plus. I don't know if it's so good for my acting career, but I guess it was, because I was visible. And then they'll say, oh yeah, let's get that girl from that commercial, let's bring her in, that kind of stuff.
Thanks for sharing that. And, congrats on doing like 80 shows. I think that's amazing. Congrats again. And thank you again for paving the way for other Asian American actors and actresses who are pursuing, their love for acting and turning it into a career. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Irene, you can also head on over to thetowofselfconfidence.com and search for Irene's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Irene today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Irene.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was just great talking to you. And I thought it's a brilliant idea to call it the Tao of Self-Confidence. So I know that you're at once intelligent, smart, and also very creative.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, thank you again. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Get your free self-talk tape for building self-confidence by visiting our website at thetowofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.